All right. I am going live in my YouTube group. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So if you don't know me, my name is Renee Collins. I am a CPA financial planner, and I am also the founder of a company called Retire Ready. Retire Ready helps first generational wealth builders as well as entrepreneurs to take control of their money and have a healthy relationship with their money so that they can save more, invest smart, and to build wealth. And not just for today, but for future generations as well. And today I am going to be talking about the benefits of a spending plan. Why should we be creating a spending plan? Why do we care? Why is it important? Why are financial planners and financial experts always talking about the benefits of a spending plan? Well, that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, and I'm going to kind of walk you through a spending plan. How do we create a spending plan? So, you know who I am. And now I'm going to go ahead and jump right into developing a spending plan. Now, when I'm working with my clients, one of the things we do, one of the first steps that we do in creating and developing a spending plan is basically understanding what is important to you. So, from a client standpoint, I want to understand and help my clients gain some clarity around their values. So, values are basically our beliefs. There are beliefs about but what we see as the truth. And understanding our values, it helps us to make financial decisions. So it's important to understand what you want your money to do for you from a value standpoint. And then understanding, where do you want to be? So, where you are today versus where do you want to be in the future? That's important because once you know that and you have set some goals and some parameters around that, then with your goals and your values, then we are able to establish a spending plan. And then lastly, understanding why are these goals important to you. Now, that's very important because anytime you are setting a goal or some type of objective, there are going to be some hazards along the way. There are going to be some obstacles, some challenges that are going to crop up. That's just life. That's how it is. But understanding your why is this important to you? That is going to be the motivating force to keep you moving forward, regardless of what may happen along the way. So defining that why is very, very important. Now, so I'm going to jump right into doing the spending plan. One of the first steps, after the first step actually, is going to be understanding your source of income. Where's your income coming from? You may have a salary, you may have child support, alimony, all your sources of income. You want to make sure that you take stock of those and you know exactly what you're bringing in every month. Now, when I work with clients, we start with the gross salary. We start with the gross amounts. And then we will subtract out any taxes and any benefits from there. Because as a tax planner, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can for my clients to reduce their taxes. So I want to see what they're paying in taxes so that as a part of their plan, I can try to reduce those taxes. Now, if you are doing this at home, you may take the approach of using your net salary or your net pay. And the net amount is going to be the amount that actually ends up in your bank account. So most people who are doing their spending plan on their own, they're going to be utilizing the numbers that actually hit their bank account, and that's fine. So you can use your net pay, but you want to make sure that you gather all of your income sources. And I do have a spreadsheet. If anyone is interested, just shoot me a note make a note in the comments, let me know, and I will be happy to send you the spreadsheet that we use when working with our clients. And so in developing the spending plan, when you're looking at the expenses, there are a few categories that you're going to see. One is going to be your fixed expenses. Your fixed expenses are going to be those expenses that you incur every single month. Things like your rent, your mortgage, your utilities. These are going to occur on a regular basis. And then other expenses that are going to be variable, so they occur each month, but they can vary widely in terms of how much you pay for them, such as your groceries or dining out. Now, what's interesting is when my clients go through and they look at their monthly expenses, they will typically have that, what I call that come to Jesus moment, especially when it comes to items along groceries, dining, or entertainment, because oftentimes they will spend more in these categories than they actually realize. So doing the spending plan it's also beneficial because it allows you to see where your money is going. And ultimately, you want to make sure that you are defining and allocating your money towards those categories that are most important to you. Hence why we go through the values statement at the beginning so that we can understand what is really important to you. And then another category that's not listed here, but it's also very important, is making sure you have a line item for your debt. If you have debt, whether it's credit card debt, student loans, or even a car note, develop a plan to pay off those debts pretty quickly, because the debt is a source of, I would say, pain for a lot of clients, and it oftentimes will keep them from achieving their financial goals. So put in place a debt elimination plan in your spending plan. The other thing is make sure that you have an item in there for saving and investing for your future. If you don't have a emergency fund, you want to make sure that you put an emergency fund in your spending plan as well. And then you're also going to have some items that come up that you have not necessarily planned for. So items, but you know at the same time that you're going to incur them. And that's going to be things such as expenditures for the holidays. Determine how much you are going to spend for the holidays. What do you typically spend on average? Is it maybe a couple $1,000s? Is it $1,000? Figure out how much do you normally spend for the holidays, and then divide that number by 12, and then add that to your monthly budget. And even though you don't need it, say in January, February, March, for the bulk of the year, take that money out of your checking account and then put it into a reserve account, so that when you do start spending in, say, late October, November, December, you have those resources set aside that you can utilize for the holidays without putting anything on your credit card, and also without stress. How great would it feel to approach the holidays without worrying about money? Okay? So those are some things I want you to think about when you are doing your monthly expenses. And here's something else I would just want to add, and that is when you're trying to figure out your monthly expenses, if possible, go back and look at 12 months of expenses and then divide that by 12 to get an average of how much you're spending each month, because very few people are going to spend the exact same amount each month. It's rare that that happens, but you do want to account for it in your budget, because again, if you know these expenses are occurring throughout the year, and even though you may not be paying for them on a monthly basis, you can take those resources and put them into a reserve account until such time that you actually need them. Next, I want to talk about needs versus wants. When you're doing your spending plan, you definitely want to distinguish between your needs and your wants. And sometimes this can be a gray area. It may not always be easy to identify what is a need versus a want. In this example that I have here, this is a caption that I pulled off Twitter, and I absolutely loved it because this is what I want you to be thinking about when you are going through and you're doing your spending plan. Remember, there are always going to be trade-offs. And so your needs are going to be those items that basically will sustain you. Okay, those are going to be things that you need to survive. That's one way to think about it. And your wants are typically going to be your desires. They're nice to haves. In this example here, you may discover that you need a car. So you need a mode of transportation so that you can get back and forth to work. But here you have car B, that is a $25,000 car, and then you have car A, that is a $65,000 car. Now both of these cars, they will get you to work, but one of these is going to keep you there. What I have determined and practiced is that oftentimes people are not really happy in their jobs, or they have jobs that are really stressful. And so oftentimes they will spend money just to fill a void that they have. And rather than spending money to fill that void, what I encourage you to do is create a plan of action so that you can get yourself out of that situation. Because when we spend more money on our wants, what we end up doing is finding ourselves on that wheel, that cycle, never ending cycle, where you're putting yourself in a position where you can't leave a job or a situation that you're not happy with because you're putting yourself in debt, or you're jeopardizing your finances and basically lessening your opportunities to build financial security and financial independence. Clients tell me what they really want is financial independence. They want that financial security. But when we're choosing our wants over our needs, we're also basically jeopardizing our desire or the potential for us to have that security, that financial security, and the financial independence. So if you find yourself in a situation where you have to make that decision between your needs versus your wants, or you're not really sure, just ask yourself, what is the trade-off? Or is there a better option, a more economical option? Needs versus wants. And then next, again, take a look at your monthly expenses. This is an example that I have here. So you have your actual expenses here for this particular example. And then what I have my clients go through and do is take a look at those actual expenses. And let's identify an area of opportunity, an area where we can save more money. This is especially important when we are looking for resources to allocate towards their financial goals. And if you have or you don't have an emergency fund that has been set aside, then you want to go through your spending and examine it and see where can you cut back, because you want to be saving something. You work hard for your money. Use this as an opportunity to find some source of savings so that you can put something away for yourself. So go through and figure out what are your monthly expenses. That goes in that first column. And then you want to examine those expenses to see, is there an area where you can potentially save money? And what I have discovered in practice is that a lot of people can save money in groceries, in dining, entertainment. Those are the big areas of savings opportunity. So if you can find some place to save there, then by all means do that. And then in this column here, we have the wants. And then for the final column, those numbers represent the final plan, spending plan, or budget. Now here, this is the recommended spending categories, but remember, this is personal finance, so your spending categories may not look like this. I remember when my son was a college student, his housing was very little. It may have been 10, 15% of his budget because he shared a home with some other students, so they didn't spend much in the area of housing. Now, on the other hand, if you took a look at his food and his fun stuff, that probably took up more than 50% of his spending category. So this can vary from one person to the next, but remember, these are just recommended spending categories. At the end of the day, you have to figure out what makes you happy, where your greatest needs are, and spend accordingly. So now, if we take it all and we bring it all together, we take a look at the net income and we take a look at all of the expenses. We've gone through our spending plan and we've determined what our needs are, what our wants are, where our savings opportunities are, so that we can start to craft a budget that we can start to try out for our home. In this case here, you will see that at the top of the list, I have savings and emergency fund, because I am a believer that you work hard for your money. You need to make sure that you are saving something for yourself. It's hard working 40, 50 hours a week, and then you get your paycheck and it has to go and pay a bunch of bills. You got to go and pay creditors. Save something for yourself. So make sure you have a line item at the top of your list for emergencies. And then in this case, you will see that this is a zero-based budget. So what that means is that when you look at the income and you compare it to the expenses, every single dollar is accounted for. So every dollar has a job. So when you get to the net income, after you subtracted out the take-home pay or the net salary, you subtract the expenses, what you're left with is zero. You want every dollar to be accounted for in your budget. Now, I'm not going to go through the money hacks, but I will talk a little bit about the budgeting apps. So there are a number of budgeting apps out there. All I have listed here are two: Mint as well as YNAB. Now, Mint is a free app, but you can pay for an upgraded version. I think with the free app, they just provide you, they inundate you with a number of ads. But you can put in your budget in both of these apps, and they will track your spending and compare it to your budget. And if you go over in any particular category, it can notify you. So it is a great tool for that, to help you stay on track with your spending plan, and also just to help you ensure that you are spending your money with intention. And that's really the purpose of the spending plan, is to ensure that you're spending your money on those things that really matter most to you. And so lastly is just understand that your spending plan is flexible. And so when you're creating a spending plan, especially for the first time, you want to go through and make sure that it works for you. You kind of want to kick the tires a little bit. Just take it on a trial run. Do it for, 2-3 weeks, and then come back and revisit to see, are these categories correct? Maybe some things have changed in your life and you need to go back and revise the spending plan. That's okay. It's not etched in stone. And remember, this is your spending plan. It's not based on, your neighbors or your coworkers. It's yours. And so feel free to change it as you so desire. And I believe that is it. That's all that I have for you guys today. And if you are struggling with your money, or if you are not sure if you're on track to retire ready, then please feel free to reach out to me. I will put my contact information in the caption, so that you can jump on my calendar, and I do provide a 30-minute free consultation, so that if you have any questions, then I can answer those for you. In the meantime, go be great today.